Welcome to the podcast where motherhood meets reinvention. I'm your host, Sharon Macey, and this is Mom to More. I'll be speaking with remarkable moms who have embraced the art of transformation, crafting their more by leveraging the skills they hone as stay-at-home moms. They'll share their experiences, struggles, and successes as they return to a former career, pursued a passion or hobby, or charted an entirely new path, giving you the clarity, motivation, and inspiration to help you answer the question, what do you want to do when your kids grow up? Hello, Pod Moms, and welcome back. Well, today's episode is going to redefine the word resilience. Sean Pitt is a single mom who has an incredible story of bootstrapping her way out of hardship and overcoming obstacles. Her personal reinvention, years in the making, allows her to live a life of purpose, goals, and faith. She started as a nurse's assistant and had an epiphany that led her to cosmetology school. She is now a senior stylist at Salon Dada in Westport, Connecticut. There is so much more, and you're going to hear it all firsthand right here, right now. So Sean, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here with me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This will be really fun. So we are just going to jump in because, boy, you've had so much going on, and I know that you will be as aspiring to other moms as you have been to me. So my essential mom question, how many kids do you have and where did you raise them?
I have one son and I raised him in New Haven, Connecticut. And
gotcha.
Yep, that's it.
Okay. So now let's set the stage because there's a lot that happened before you had your son, Jaden. So let's set the stage before you had Jaden, and you were a nurse's assistant at Bridgeport Hospital in Connecticut. And what did you discover there?
I discovered the need to take care of the whole man of people, women and men, cleaning them, feeding them, doing their hair, loving them, like if they were my parents or my whatever. And I found that once their hair was done, they were so happy. And that clicked me to that part because I always want to be happy and make someone else happy.
And isn't that so true that even now, like, boy, it's going to be, if I have a good hair day, it's going to be a good day.
It's a good day.
So
it's a good day.
It's a good day. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you discovered there that you made people happy from doing their hair, and you also realized you had a talent.
Yep. Yeah. And even in the nursing part, I felt like that was all I needed to do. So I started to go into work a little early to clean people, get them ready, so they're on fire, So, it just was exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that from the beginning, you were even going above and beyond right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I think that talks to who you are, which we will learn more about. So at some point, and let's wind back a little, you had struggles. So we're not going to sugarcoat that. So would you like to share with the audience what happened and then what led you to Refocus Ministries?
Okay. So as a young girl, I had struggles with my mom, and she had walked away from her children and we were young, and my grandparents took care of us. And I didn't want to be with my grandparents. I wanted to be with my mom. But it was not the case. So I ended up running away from home and sleeping with friends at their house and end up on the street, homeless at like 14. And someone introduced me. Yeah. And someone introduced me to cocaine. And I think I was one of the youngest, like, crackheads in New Haven. And to redefine where I'm at in my mind, I end up getting in trouble, and it had to be a divine intervention that instead of me getting locked up, I end up going to the program. And I think that was the hardest thing I ever had to deal with because I really had to look at myself. And I never really did. And so doing that before I had Jaden, I was there before I had him. And that's when I messed up again and going back with him, it was safe for me to do that, because now I knew it was a safe place. So I had to reinvent myself a few times, to get to where I am today.
I realize that. And also you said Refocus Ministries was where you discovered you were pregnant. You didn't even know that you were pregnant.
I didn't know I was pregnant. Nope. And because when you go there, you have to take you have to have you have to do a physical, and
Right.
I ended up doing it. I had to do it because that was protocol for the program. To get your whole body together. And when I did, I was pregnant. I was 3 months pregnant. And so from that day
So now you've
forward,
got,
from that day forward, I started eating so healthy. And thank God my baby was not a drug baby. My baby was a beautiful baby. And that once I believed God then, because I never thought I could be a parent. Never.
You've had travails and tribulations. So you've the good and the bad all come together. Now, when we first spoke, you had a great line. You said, at that moment that you discovered you were pregnant, you had an awakening for yourself and for your future child. Let's talk about that.
That awakening was to never for him to be without, to always take care of him and love him and make sure he's eating, he's clean, he's nourished, body, soul, spirit. Simple. And I thank God I was able to hold up that part. He's beautiful.
Absolutely. And he is a lovely young man. I know him. And and you've done it, Mom. I mean, you've really done it. Now, I will also point out to my listeners that this is sort of not the classic, stay-at-home mom. You were a single mom. Right. You had to support yourself and you had to support your child. Right. But you also had a lot of, well, we will get into the guardian angels that you have in your life.
Oh, yeah.
But you also said something interesting before we jump into your guardian angels, that you made a brilliant remark when we first spoke, and you said you felt no one understood what you were going through and that you needed people to show you that they were concerned about you, but you hadn't yet realized that you first needed to be concerned about yourself.
Right.
So when did all of that happen, and how did that change where your life could have been headed?
Well, I believe that changed while I was in the ministry to a place of I was by myself. And instead of me looking for people, I had to look at myself. What am I going to do about me? And once I did that, it was like, ding, the light went on. So I was able to, I was able to focus and like make plans of like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And I caught the bus a lot. I used so many things that were given to me to use, the tools. And then once I found that I could do a lot of things, like I passed tests, my nursing test and my cosmetology test was something that I never thought, because I used so much of my mind negatively. So once I started using it positively, it was like everything was coming back. Like I could retain stuff. And I just was so encouraged, and that encouraged me to move more, to do more, to be more, and to not give up. And like understand there's no excuses and no limits to what I could do for myself. And I just ran with that.
So you just talked about a shift, like a mentality shift that you had. Talk about that a little further, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, because I kind of had gotten stuck with now I'm a mom, now I have a baby, I could get a career. There's so many things to do. And I'm one person and I have to step up to be all things to this person. And so I end up doing what I needed to do, like finding a job. I had finished school and I was so encouraged because there were certain things that people would speak to you that you can't do. And I overcame that and I did it. And so in doing it, I just, was like, wow, there's so many other things. And like I said, I was talking about angels and how people was put in your path. This one lady at the school, it's like, I know where you need to go. You need to go to Westport. Vincent will love you. And I was
let's talk about that. When you went to that salon, talk about that. What
I
happened
walked
there?
into Vincent's salon and I felt like I was like in Hollywood. And I was like, and he said he hired me that day. And so I didn't even get a chance to explain to him, I have a son, I'm in a program, to details of like, because I'm just coming out of school. So then I think the next day when I went, I said, listen, I may not have a babysitter a few times. I might have to bring him with me. And he was like, sure, just bring him in,
Right.
and put him in the coat room, and just keep him moving. And that gave me,
But
like,
you always had people there with him and watching
always,
him. It
yes.
sounds
And it's,
you've had many guardian angels in your life.
listen, so many guardian angels. And at that point, when at that day, I literally met Steve, and Yota was there, and so many stylists, all of them. But Steve was so generous and so sweet to me. I mean, I didn't even
Right.
understand how people were that sweet. And honestly, I never got Steve out of my spirit. He always was my brother. We could call each other, dialogue anytime. And, from Peter Coppola, I kind of left Peter Coppola to go with Steve and them out to Wilton. But instead, I stayed and helped Blaine. So I'm glad I did, because in doing so, I was able to build myself up to get back to where we are now. And so it's just been like a miracle. You know what I mean? Like a big miracle, being a single mom and building and the career. It's just been beautiful, Sharon. And
But
to even run back into you at the salon, like, wow.
oh, right, that's true. That's true. But also, you said the word miracle, but you have
Miracle.
worked really, really hard. And you've even had some more setbacks that we're going to talk about in a
Yeah.
moment. But you have really manifested where
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to be, and you've made it happen. But I'm going to back up for a moment, because roughly about 7 years in to Jaden's life,
Mm-hmm.
you went through a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about that, and also about how you had the fortitude to put one foot in front of the other when forces seem to be pushing you backwards.
Well, that part was getting into a relationship,
Mm.
and still like figuring out, do I love me, or do I want somebody to love me, or stuff like that. And being a single mom,
Yeah.
wanting a father figure and this and that, and not even knowing like I could do all things. I could do I could be everything.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that don't have fathers. There's a lot of people that, you know
that's
what I
true.
mean? And that doubt and that feeling was just a feeling. And instead of, I let it reduce me. I could say that. I let it
Mm.
reduce me. And then I realized I caught myself back. And because I had to go back, this time going back, I was able to look at Sean and like say, what is the bigger picture for me? So I have to learn to love me and learn to, respect myself more, to be all I could be for Jaden. Because he's going to
Right.
end up being a man on his own, and he's going to learn everything ain't perfect, but it could be perfect. It's
That's
how you
true.
do it every day. You know what I mean? So now
Yeah.
I feel like going back through that was another lesson for me to reintroduce myself again, to life. Like,
Mhm.
listen, people have seen me, people have witnessed, people have, even Steve and them, they have witnessed and seen that, there's some on blocks, but you know what? You keep going, you keep moving, you keep stepping through them. And I have done that. And I'm so
You
excited.
have, in a really robust and beautiful way. But you also said something that I think is really critical. You said, I learned to love myself. And I
Yeah.
think so often as moms, we don't trust
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And you had a very different situation where it was,
Yeah.
you were solo, right? You were flying
Yeah.
solo. And I think that loving yourself, whether, especially if you are, reinventing yourself and you're like, okay, my kids are growing up, and I'm going to create my next act. I think it
Yeah.
really has to start with self-love,
It
and
have to start with
knowing
self-love.
inside
Mm.
that you can do whatever you put your mind to.
Yes, that's true. And
Yeah.
that's that part that I feel like a lot of, women need to realize. You can do it.
Yeah.
There
You
is
can do
more.
it. You can do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And sometimes you just, you found yourself in a situation where you just had to jump off the deep end and like do
Mm-hmm.
it.
And just do it.
And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of women who might just be, afraid to maybe venture out. And, I always like to say, you don't know how good you can be unless you try.
Unless you try.
And
And a lot of
obviously
time, and also to encourage yourself, because you
yes.
are your
Yeah.
biggest person. You encourage yourself. I can do it. I could, remember the train, the little train, I could do it. I could do it. I could do it until he did it, and he did it.
Little engine
So
that could, right?
the little
Yeah.
engine that could.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Little engine
that's,
that could.
yep. Yep.
Let's talk about some of your superpowers, because girl,
Mhm.
you got a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what do you think some of your superpowers are that you would like to share?
My superpowers are definitely faith, and friendships. And my faith and friendships are powerful. And I don't take it lightly at all. My church, Steve, all the people that I work with are beautiful. And I mean, to
Right.
walk in a place that is always happy, and, no matter what we're going through, we like encourage is just great. And even teaching my son to be like that, getting in that,
Mm-hmm.
it's good with the bad and bad with the good. You stay good. It's just, so I honestly, I feel like I'm on a cloud. I'm on a cloud now in my life. And I have
And you
never.
also have your guardian angels around you and
Mm-hmm.
family, even though they're not
Oh yeah,
biological family, but they're your family,
they my family.
right?
Yeah,
Family,
yeah,
family are the people who are there for you, and
yeah,
you have
yeah.
a wide swath of people who are that family to you. You said one thing when we were originally talking, and you said things must go wrong to teach kids what is right. Can you
Right.
elaborate on that a little?
Yes, because when you're going through stuff, you don't get crazy going through it. You
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to get focused and realize that this is not going to kill you. This could make you stronger or make you weaker. It's your choice. And you
It's your
have to
choice.
choose.
Yeah.
It's your choice. And you have to choose to do the right thing, whether you don't want to or not, because the right thing always
Right.
wins. I feel like that. And so, sometimes
100%.
being in a place of uncertainty is the certain, you know, and a lot of time we don't take that. We think it's I would say like a dead end. It's never a dead end.
Right.
There's always doors. And so I'm just encouraged that I'm just where I'm at. You know, I just feel great. I really do.
Right.
I feel good because like your podcast, Moms to More, there's so much more from others. There's so much more to continue to recreate who you are as a mom, who you are as a
Right.
sister, who you are as a friend, who you are. All of that is so much, and you don't stop. You be better every day. It's a new day every day.
Right. And it's a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
choice that a woman has to make, or a mom has to make, and depending on what they want to do, but being able to sort of jump off, and
Yeah.
take that first step. Um,
Yeah.
we had also talked about that sometimes, too often, we try to save our kids. And as the protective mama bears that we
Mm-hmm.
all are, we want to do that. But we also
Yeah.
talked about the fact that your kids learn more from their mistakes than
Right.
they do from their successes.
Yeah.
So chat about that for a moment.
Oh yeah. I always save Jaden. I always jump in and try to give and do and be. But I learned that the more I do it, the more he wants. The more I do it, the more he needs. The more I do it, he can't like get through the maze of life, or like, So I stopped.
Yeah.
And I gave him his tools, and I feel like he's been doing great. And even with his mistakes, he still come back, and you know he apologizes, or he tries to do better, or and I feel good about
Good
that because I
man.
understand. Yeah, and I
Yes.
understand. Yeah, and I feel like wow, when I'm not around, you're on your own, and you're good on your own,
Yes.
and that's all that matters now. So
Right.
now I realize, like, and I pat myself a little bit and say, wow, you have done a great job with him. He's a great person, and
He is a lovely young man. And you know what?
mm-hmm,
You should absolutely pat yourself on the back. And all
yeah,
moms who would find themselves in that sort of situation, if you are maybe maybe you start out raising a kid with somebody else, but then you get a divorce and then you're
right.
single parent or maybe co-parenting, but oftentimes there could be just a single parent situation. And yeah, I think when your kid sort of gets those messages, that you've been sharing with them all these years, that is a big pat on the back for yourself.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I have met a lot of women in Westport who are now single moms, due to divorce. And they constantly say, wow, look at Jaden, look at your son. Like, and I'm like, it's what we gotta do as parents. We can't.
And getting there. Yeah, getting there. There were times where you wanted to pull your hair out because of him, or you wanted to pull his hair out.
Oh my goodness.
Because of him. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, a lot of times I want to give up and just ride away, but you can't. You got to face it. You got to face it.
And you're like, God darn it, I'm sticking with you, and you're going to get this right. There's something about you that I adore. You are a minister.
Yes.
And when I found that out, this was a while ago, I thought, wow, that really resonates with me, with who you are. And I personally find you so spiritual and down to earth, and you work your butt off. So talk to me about why that was so important to be a minister. And I think you just are amazing at that.
Well, I believe I believe at first it wasn't about being a minister. It was more about learning to live life on life terms daily. And then as I joined the church, I was dedicated. And so I keep being whatever I'm doing, I'll dedicate. I
yes, you are.
do it with my whole heart. I don't call out. I'm there all the time. And so with being a minister, it's like you're always on call. It don't matter what, with whoever, whatever. And your life has to be that lifestyle that people could look and say, wow, I could call her for anything. I could do, she's always there. They always there. And a lot of time when people don't be there, you don't give people the light. You have to be the light for some people that are dark, that are going through dark. You have to, no matter how you feeling, this is a title now, and that minister title is just a title, because a minister is a person that have that heart after the people and love the people regardless of what you are going through. And so I kind of try to just live like that daily and, be on time and do what I could do and whatever. Anybody going through something I could to help, whatever, and it's like so great. It's so great. It's so great. And it's just a great thing to be. And I think you're a minister. Everybody's a minister who gives back, who does say.
I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, it's an interesting point.
No, yeah, it's true.
Interesting. Thank you for that. So as a minister, and I think about, probably maybe sermons that you've given, talks that you've given, I know that you have many words of wisdom that I know will resonate with my audience. So whether it's like from a sermon or just what you have gleaned over the years, share some of that with my audience, some of your gems with my listeners.
Oh yeah, I have a gem that it's a saying. It's like you press towards the mark of the high calling, and the high calling is when you wake up, you wake up with a new day, a new attitude, a new mindset, and you put aside things that are not edifying you, and you put on what you're going to do to edify someone else. And that part is what we should live for, instead of look at what's not good or what's not happening, because there's always going to be stuff that's not like that, So you just try to be overcoming those situations and the press. You press to wake up, you press for your kids, you press to, cook. We be tired as women, you know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah.
We do 2,000 things to the father's one thing. And so, you continue to press. You got to press.
Yeah.
And so
also you have a really positive outlook about that, which I think is beautiful. And I think that's really important.
It's never, even when you're tired, you sit down for 5 minutes and you just zoom, take a deep breath. The 5-minute rule, 5 minutes and rethink about what you're going to do.
Because as a mom, if you sit down for more than 5 minutes, you're going to fall asleep.
You're going to fall asleep, or you're going to be tired, or you're going to put your feet up on the couch.
Right.
but it's
Can't
that
do it
5 minute. Yeah, you can't do it too long. But the press and the minute rule is a key thing to build your mind, get the oxygen back in your spirit, in your head, and
Right.
keep going. Yeah, because that's all it is. You're losing oxygen, you're losing like relief. So you got to keep relieving
Right.
yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel
So
like really just to sort of roll things together, you came out of great adversity. And what I love about your story, Sean, is that you have literally bootstrapped your way to success. And at one point you actually had your own salon for several years. And I find you very inspirational. Your story is incredibly inspirational. And I also sense now that Jaden gets how much you have done for him and what you have done for yourself and for the two of you together. And I find that just really, you've had numerous reinventions, very inspirational. And I love that about you. I love that about you.
Thank you. Also, too, Jaden really never experienced that part that I was so bad at, or so, I tried not to give him that. I tried to give him all the stars and all the, whatever I could, because I remember when I was little, and going through that part of life, feeling like, wow, I don't feel loved, or I don't feel this. But I was like, my baby never going to feel like that. He's going to be loved. He's going to be, he's going to know that I'm always got his back, and I'm always there.
And I think that's important for kids to know, is no matter how tough things can get, that you always have their back. And you're not going to solve it for them because they have to solve it themselves, but you're always there for them. And I think knowing that there's that cushion, that love, that mom, right, behind, I think that is critically important for any young person in this world.
Yeah. Very critical. Yeah. That's great.
So I want to ask you, since this is the Mom to More podcast, and I ask all my moms this, and I love hearing everyone's answers, I'm going to ask you, Sean Pitt, what is your more?
My more is to be more to women, to be more to people, to be more to myself, and to let people understand and know that there is nothing too hard to recreate, rebuild, resolve, relive, or anything. You can do anything. And that's what would be my more to them, to tell them.
Sean, I think the more that you just shared with everybody was really incredible. And I just applaud you for everything that you've achieved and recreated and reinvented in your life, because I think that's huge. And I think that's a wonderful story for moms, of all ages. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I also want to mention that I know, you're not super active online, but for people in the Northeast, you can find Sean at Salon Dada. And I got to tell you, girl, you give a phenomenal blowout. So
thank you.
We can bond over that as well.
Right. I love doing here.
You're really talented. I know, and you're so good at it, and you're really, really talented at that. So thank you for that. And I just want to say thank you for your time today. This has been heartfelt and real and raw, and I learned a lot, and I'm just so grateful for your time. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
And to my listeners, I would also like to say, as always, I can be found on Instagram at Mom to More, and on TikTok at Mom to More. And everyone have a great day, and we will see you next time.
Awesome.
Before I sign off, a quick favor. I would love it if you would take a few moments to follow or subscribe to the pod. Following us means you'll never miss an episode, and it really does help the show to grow. Just go to the Mom to More show page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen in. Tap the plus sign in the upper right corner or click on follow. While you're there, if you'd be willing to leave a 5-star rating and review and share an episode with another mom, I'd be so grateful and appreciate your support. Thanks for listening in, and see you next time.